Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today we're going to talk about Zozu the Punisher. Do you have too many friends? Do you relish the fact of just sitting down and enjoying a Commander game? Well, Zozu has the cure for that. Yeah, he's a walking, breathing Anka Mishra. Now, he's a 2-2, so he's kind of fragile. He dies a lot, but you know what? Hey, that's a goblin for you. The last thing I wanted to do was I didn't want to build another goblin deck. I wanted something different. And the Magic does have a certain number of cards. You hear a lot of people talk about the social contract of EDH and how land destruction is, of course, frowned upon. Now, with this deck, we have to throw all that out the window. Let's start. We'll just jump right into it. Obviously, we're playing mono red, so we're using these sweet mountains here. Douglas Schuler all the way, white border. But we're playing mono red, so the Ruby Medallion, I had one, so it's definitely in there. And then we're going to get into a host of just artifact mana ramp. Some of them are actual creatures, which may cause problems later on, but I wanted as much artifact ramp as I could. Now, what was it? When they were doing the World Championship decks, there was a Wildfire deck that operated around Thran Dynamo and Fire Diamond and stuff like that, and it had creatures that could survive the 4 damage from the Wildfire. Well, that's kind of where my mind went, only in a more twisted way. So, like I said, there's a bunch of, and it looks like I borrowed the Soul Ring, or I stole the Soul Ring from this deck, so it doesn't have a Soul Ring. That's why I'm running like a regular black border mountain. And all of my white border ones. Now, Unwinding Clock is, with that much artifact mana, Unwinding Clock is just about necessary. So that makes things. I'm about to show you the win conditions. Promise you, this is terrible. Don't build this deck. It's legit how to lose friends in 100 cards. But our win conditions are Rod of Ruin, yeah, and Aladdin's Ring. Terrible, right? Okay. Now, our awesome draw cards are Reforge the Soul, Temple Bell, which is also not bad with the clock, I mean, you're drawing everybody cards, but it's kind of to the point where it doesn't matter. Temple Bell in this particular deck does not matter because it's good, and yes, I'll happily draw my opponent's cards because trust me, they're going to be mad at me anyway. And then we have the Planar Portal, which is exceptional with that much artifact mana and the clock. So to be able to every person's turn. Now, yeah, Planar Portal and Unwind the Clock together, that's a pretty big target. So let's look at what the deck is actually doing. As I said before, he's just another copy of Anka Mishra that can die. So I had to put the Ankh in here because that was pretty much the first card. I was like, oh, he's an Anka Mishra. Well, I'm going to play him and Anka Mishra. What else can I play? Well, taking damage for just playing your lands is not fun. And heck, if you get both of them, you're taking 4. Well, I needed a way to not lose as quick because that's a pretty big target. I was like, well, we'll throw in a Meek Stone. That way the big creatures don't untap, and Zozu, on the off chance he does swing, he can actually untap there. And I was like, well, we're playing mono red, so we're going to be taking damage. Don't really have a whole lot of life gain, this is kind of it. This is it for Life Gain in Red. Now, Winter Orb, since I already had the binder out for the Anka Mishra, and I had the Ankh, I had the Meek Stone, and I'm like, huh. You know, if I put a lot of artifact ramp in here, Winter Orb is not bad. It's not bad at all. But what goes real well with Winter Orb is the Mana Web. If they tap one land, they tap all their lands. Now, y'all help me here. A lot of the older cards got errated, and I haven't really looked up let's see if I can pull this up here on my phone. I'm a professional, y'all. I don't know. My question is, I'm not sure if it's all players or if you have to target a player when Mana Web comes into play. Mana Web. Mana Web. Whenever a land an opponent controls is tapped for mana, tap all lands that player controls that could produce any type of mana that land could produce. So no, it's the target opponent thing is gone. It's all opponents. Sweet, even better. That's how I envisioned it working. So they tap one land, they tap them all. So that makes Winter Orb all the more brutal. Now, Dingus Egg, same binder. I was like, you know what? If they're taking damage for putting land, we're doing it too. We're taking damage for putting lands in play. But if we're taking damage for putting lands into play, why not take damage when they leave anyway? This puts a whole new light in Terramorphic and all the fetches and evolvings and even the. So I was like, huh. Well, Mana Barbs. Whenever a land's tapped for mana, they take a damage. That's pretty sweet, right? Power Surge. Excuse me while I have to read Power Surge. It's been a while. This is one of those old decks that I had found. I don't really think I tweaked that much during each player's upkeep. Power Surge deals 1 damage for each land, shows it was untapped. So you take damage for tapping them for Mana Barbs. If you don't tap them, you take the damage from the Power Surge. So now we need to really abuse this Dingus Egg thing. Because naturally, just by playing the game, people are going to put lands into play. And yeah, they're not going to stop playing lands just because it hurts them. They're just going to do it and complain and target you. So the first thing that we got to do is blow up some lands. And we're going to do it in mass quantities. Destructive Force is a wildfire +1 of the cost, +1 of the damage, +1 of the lands. And I'm saying this is a wildfire deck. And you know what? I ain't got a dang wildfire in here. Mental note. So, it's super wildfire. 5 damage to everything. Yes, Zozu's dead. But at this point, you're probably not doing this unless it's beneficial to you. Now, with this much artifact ramp, we can probably still... Now, granted, all those artifact mana creatures are dead. But we can probably still recover faster than anyone else. Do have the specific land haters. Boil and Flashfire. Now, I'm not running Boil and Boiling Seas. Even that's a line I didn't cross. Now, Tectonic Break. Each player sacrifices X lands. That's pretty not friendly. Let's see. What else do we have? Impending Disaster. Now, how this one got red, and I don't know. It's weird. 7 or more lands in play, which is going to happen. If you're, I mean, even in a small game of 4 players, yeah, I know that's a normal size pod, but our games are generally way bigger. But by turn 2, if you cast this on turn 2, turn 3, you're blowing everything up. And that's going to set folks back substantially. It's going to let them know right out the gate, I'm here to blow up some lands. Epicenter. Now, we're going to have Threshold. It's just going to happen. And I don't care if the lands are indestructible. You're sacrificing them. Thoughts of Ruin. Another sacrifice. Sacrifice a land for each card in your hand. And, you know, we're probably going to have some cards in hand because we have a Library of Ling and Ivory Tower to try to, you know, negate some of our life loss that you incur from just playing lands. Now, Obliterate is of course the panic button. Scorched Earth. We're still blowing up lands here. Oh my gosh. So it's not, here again, since we have so much artifact ramp, it's not that big a deal to sandbag lands because, you know, let's face it, if it hurts you to play them and you don't need them, then you can just discard them to Scorched Earth. Ruination is the reason why we're running basics only. Now, I'm not running the Blood Moon, Blood Sun, Blood this, or whatever, because I'm not worried about, you know, color hosing them. I'm worried about blowing up their dang lands. Even Storm Cauldron, it allows everybody to play 2 lands a turn. However, you tap a land for mana, you return it to its owner's hand. God forbid you have Mana Web out, because if you tap 1 for mana, you have to tap all your lands for mana, and they all get returned. That's kind of sick and disgusting. I mean, I'm probably going to have to take a shower after this, because this is dirty. This is a dirty, dirty deck. Sulfuric Vortex. Hey, this is kind of counter to our gain life thing, but it was such a mean card, I could not put it in there. Because let's face it, that's what this deck is. It's a mean deck. Anarchy's kind of removal is just going to destroy, you know, all the white things. Oh, look. That was not with the rest of the card draw. I'm bad at life. Winds of Change. Of course, Faithless Looting. Let's look at some targeted removal here. We've got Pillage. We have, I say Vandal Blast is targeted removal, but we all know better. It costs 5 mana, and it's a one-sided Shatterstorm. That's why we play it. Trash for Treasure is going to invariably get back the portal because it's going to get destroyed. I mean, that's just how it's going to work. Even running absolutely horrible destruction in Fissure. Now, the only thing this has going for it is it is an instant. It says the land or creature. That casting cost is insane. But in an environment where we've got all the mana and everybody else is struggling just to play their decks, Fissure's not that bad. Yeah, it could have been a Stone Rain for 3, but I wanted that creature option. Really wanted that creature option bad. Inferno, of course, 6 damage to everything and everybody. Ether Flash is just going to deal 2 to everything that comes in. This is really valuable for those small little weenie decks, you know, the Goblins and the Knights and the Elves and all that jazz. Really helpful, especially, you know, Thopters, tokens, small tokens, whatnot. Rain Assault, the double Stone Rain, I'm not sure about it. There's probably a spot there. 6 mana, 2 lands is, I don't, Well, let's see what we got. Seismic Assault is a way to discard cards to deal some damage and get all crooked. that up here. I need a taller tripod, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Okay. Price of progress, instant. In the event that somebody does have lands that you haven't blown up yet, non-basic lands are, I mean, it's kind of the pillar of the format. It really is. Even a lot of, I have a lot of monocolor decks that have just an amazing amount of non-basics. And then you start getting into, 3 and 4 color decks. It happens quite easily. Smoke. You can only untap one creature a turn. So that kind of helps you stay alive because, let's face it, you're going to be target number 1. But you're just going to die quickly. I mean, that's, a Spine of Isha, I got to be honest with you. Did I put that in there because of Trash for Treasure? That seems like a weak inclusion since I can't blink it. Typically with Spine of Isha, you want to use that little blue artifact creature thing that you return to an artifact and you put another artifact in and you just, Anyway, that's how I like to use the Spine. At 7 mana, destroy target permanent. That just doesn't... Maybe it's in there just because it says destroy target permanent. I don't know. Wand of Denial. Now, I love this card, but it does make me sad that it says non-land. Although they don't want you to hose your opponents out of lands. Little do they know that's exactly what we're doing. But also, it keeps them... You can identify at a table after a certain number of turns who your biggest threat is and who's the biggest... Well, not really the biggest threat to win, but the biggest threat to your game plan. And that's who you want. And you kind of, control what they draw, if you will. It's more or less it's a lot like a one-shot Zur's Weirding, except, you can't hit a land. A sudden impact is going to punish the player who is drawing a lot of cards, or, they can't play a lot of cards because maybe they don't have any lands. Speaking of the blue players and the Cyclonic Rifts of the world, wow. You tap a land on another player's turn, it's gone. Hopefully, you're lucky enough to where you have the Mana Web out. That makes friends real quick. And our last card is Citadel of Pain. If you didn't tap your lands, at the end of each player's turn, you're going to take some damage. Well, I mean, at the end of your turn, whoever's turn it is. That's what I've got for Zozu. There's a ton of cards in there that... Because we all have a lot of these cards that we're like, that's just too mean for EDH. That's just too mean. And that's pretty much what this deck is just a compilation of all those cards that are too mean. Even if you just drop them in ones and twosies in other decks, you might as well just throw them all in one, in a general that nobody likes anyway, and let's have some fun. Or not have fun. Anyway, it's deck number 362, Mr. Zozu. I'm fairly certain saying that he won't. He will not be reprinted in the Master set, the upcoming Ultimate Masters. Probably none of the cards in this deck will. I don't know, but who knows? Well, that's all I've got for Zozu. I do appreciate y'all watching. Don't forget, support your friendly local game store. Head on over. The next deck I'm actually working on is, we all use EDH Rec. It is a great resource. I love them for making that site, and maybe one day EDH Rec will scrape Tapped Out, but it doesn't yet. Now, but the next deck I'm doing, I'm actually going to do no cards on the EDH Rec page. A commander where is a good commander. I just got a copy of it, actually. And my own personal banned list will be all the cards on the EDH Rec main page. When you type in Venser, Shaper Savant, All of those cards will not be in the deck. Maybe I'll get it done in time for the next deck. I don't know. But I'm working on it now. It might not be 363. It may be 364, 5, whatever. It'll be upcoming soon. But that's the idea. It may be harder than I think. Anyway, I do appreciate you watching. Y'all let me know what you think. But right now, I think we're going to shuffle and cut.